Hello my darlings. Today we are going to be talking about an object. This is going to be part of a series I do where we talk about specific objects from specific expansion packs that I was more responsible for. Today is about Sims Unleashed, and it will be about the Hachiko statue, which is from the Shibuya Station in Tokyo, Japan. I hope you enjoy this, and please like and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications when the next video comes up, and there'll be other stuff too. But thank you, my darlings, and on with the show. Hello. So about 100 years ago, a gentleman named Hidesaburo Ueno decided he wanted a dog. Now, he was a professor at the University of Tokyo, otherwise known as Todai, not to be confused with the restaurant chain. And he wanted to get an Akita Inu. So he went to Akita Prefecture in North Honshu. And he got himself an Akita Inu, which is a Spitz variety dog. It's one of the bigger ones as opposed to this, which is a Corgi. So this is my Pembroke Welsh Corgi. His name is Finn. Look at him. He's very fluffy. But he weighs about 30 pounds, maybe 28. An Akita Inu was bred to chase bears and hunt bears. And so the Akita Inu is about 90 to 150 pounds. You do? Yeah? He's a good boy. This is Finn. Hey, Steve. Hey. So basically a relative of the Akita is what in The Sims Unleashed we built a statue of, but it's a statue that existed to celebrate the loyalty of one particular dog named Hachiko, or called Hachiko, and he was a boy, Akita Inu. So Finn seems rather perplexed, so I'm going to put him down. Look at how fluffy he is. Ooh. This is almost as furry as the Akita named Hachiko would be. You can see those beautiful eyes and the kind of fox-like pointy nose face. And that's the kind of dog, a little bit, like if you magnified this one up a lot and didn't give it these fluffy ears. But I'll show pictures of the statue and the dog Hachiko in this thingy we're doing. So yeah, Finn, I love you. Yes, I do. He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Alright, Corgi goes down. Fun expansion pack known as Unleashed. We basically decided it would be about pets and doggies and kitties. I wanted to do something special because I had been in Japan around the same time. Hey, you want another treat? Okay. There you go. I made several trips to Japan to basically get beaten up by old men in 2001 and 2 a few times. Martial arts stuff. Anyway. I also went swing dancing, and so basically I was in Japan for several weeks at a time, and during one of my trips a friend of mine named Kay was going to be in Tokyo as well for business, and we decided to get together a few times while we were both there and go swing dancing, because that's something I do and she does, and we both do and do. One time we went to a reggae club, and I think it was in Roppongi. And the other time we went, it was a place in Shibuya, and it was a jazz club. And we decided to meet at the statue that looked like the Akita, named Hachiko. It's at Shibuya Station, because that is where the dog in question would follow its owner starting into, was it 1924? And going into May of the next year when the man sadly passed away. But the dog would follow him to the station every day and be there again at 3 o'clock when the man would return on the train from teaching at University of Tokyo. He was a agricultural specialist, and so land reclamation and all sorts of interesting things that were important, especially at that time, because there had been a big earthquake and fire in the Tokyo area, in the Kanto region. And so it was a very, very important subject, because they had to reapportion land, they had to recover it and make it arable again so you could grow crops on it. So basically this man would go and he'd lecture and work with students and then come home, and the dog would be there at the station waiting for him. Then in May, the year after Mr. Hiresaburo Ueno, or Professor Ueno, had gotten the dog, he passed away from, I believe it was a brain aneurysm, while he was at work. And the dog didn't quite get it. So the dog would come to the station every day at 3 o'clock and wait for the man to come back, just in case. And some of the people in the area thought it was a nuisance that this dog was hanging around, but the dog had a very specific schedule and went there, and when they realized what the dog was doing, the dog became a symbol for loyalty and perseverance in a way. And it's a very poignant example of, I suppose, the Japanese character, perseverance, loyalty, that kind of devotion to duty and to family. And Professor Ueno and his significant other girlfriend really enjoyed the dog, and when the professor passed on, Hachiko was then taken care of by a gardener friend of Professor Ueno, and the dog kept up with that visiting of the station and became a bit of a celebrity. There were newspaper articles written in the Asahi Daily, Asahi Shimbun as they call it, and about this loyal dog. And people would go there to see the dog almost, as tourists. Eventually the dog passed away, but not before the dog was at a dedication of a statue of its likeness at the station. So it became such a cultural touchstone that they made a bronze dog statue, and they placed it on a plinth at the station. Basically, the statue remained there until World War II, when they took it to make, I can only assume, something like an officer's sword hilt piece, because they were mass producing these swords to send the officers off with, and bronze was one of the things they could do that with, so they probably did that. Then after the war, they remade the statue, and then the statue has been there ever since. It's a meeting place for people. I met my friend Kay there before we went off to dance at the jazz club we were going to. Was strange for her because we met at the dog. we met at Hachiko, and then we headed off across the square, across the intersection, and into the warren that is the nightclub area near Shibuya. And she said she'd never walked that cleanly through a crowd. It was like following Godzilla, because I was a head and a half or more taller than most people, and I was sort of threading my way through the crowd because I'd worked as a nightclub bouncer and done other things like the martial arts and dancing. She just sort of like walked right behind me with a clear path, which is not something you necessarily do, but the Japanese sense of proximity, I believe, with combination of just your own sort of sense of self and then also peripheral vision, had people just peeling off away from my path, and it was really fun for her to see. So Hachiko is still there, and I decided when we were doing the Sims expansion pack Unleashed that I would sort of do honor to this very loyal dog. I made a very photograph intensive design and for people to follow, and then I also made in scale, based upon scale drawings I saw of the animal that I could get online, the statue that is, and we made that plinth and we made that dog. And so it's one of the few things in The Sims that we made that specifically was a scenic element that you don't really interact with, but that comes from a particular time, culture, place, and isn't some recreation or fanciful reproduction of something that came out of, you know, our combined ether. It was definitely of a culture, of a place, and beloved. And full-size dog as opposed to all the puppies and the kitties. But it was a great, fun expansion pack, and that's the story of Hachiko. There are movies about the dog. There was even an American version called Hachi, A Dog's Tale, with Richard Gere in it a few years back. But it's a great story. It was a great object, and it was a lot of fun knowing that was going to be in our expansion pack. And if you're Japanese or Japanese American, or if you're from Brazil, like our newer friends are, you know, Burajirajin from Brazil, it still sort of resonates, I think. At least that's what I've heard. So I hope you have a lovely day. I'm dressed like this because I was out in San Francisco at a comedy club tonight with my darling wife and a comedian, drag queen that we appreciate. Got to meet Finn because they love animals, and especially dogs, and especially our Corgi dogs, which we've had. Finn's number 3. There's Merlin, Kevin, and now Finn. All human names, all silly, beautiful dogs. So, the Hachiko statue and Unleashed. That's it. That's the story. Right. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye. Yeah. I hope you enjoy this. And please like and subscribe. And hit the bell for notifications when the next video comes up. And there'll be other stuff too. But thank you, my darlings.